Welcome to this tips and tricks video for the Room Editor. In this episode, we'll build on what we've covered in earlier tutorials, props, behaviors, and logic, and explore how to combine them in creative, sometimes unexpected ways. These techniques go beyond standard setups, showing you how to adapt existing tools to create new effects or solve tricky design problems. We've already shared a few tips in past videos, like using empties to stack animations or to fix prop orientation. If you're already comfortable with the basics of behaviors and logic, you'll get the most out of what's ahead. We'll be demonstrating concepts without going through the full step-by-step process. Let's jump in. To create complete darkness in your room, you'll need to target all lights with an activator to turn them off, and switch your skybox to a procedural skybox with all colors set to black. Any other colors will emit ambient light into the world. Don't forget that skyboxes can be set for the local player only for co-op gameplay. Easily apply materials and sounds by dragging and dropping them onto your desired prop. Sometimes you might run into issues with how materials are layered. Z-fighting is what happens when two surfaces occupy the same space and flicker between each other. You can fix this by nudging one prop a fraction of a unit forward or backward. Transparency sorting issues occur when the engine isn't sure which transparent surface should appear on top. You can adjust the numerical hierarchy in the material properties to correct the transparency offset order. You can create your own custom shapes using walls. By adding thickness to a wall and then cutting holes into it, you can sculpt almost any cutout shape you want. It's a great way to make props or surfaces that don't exist in the library, or to give your room a more custom-made look. You can create custom letters, numbers, or symbols, key-shaped or puzzle piece inlays, or tracks for sliding mechanisms. You can also make recessed areas in walls for things like vaults, safes, mirrors, or shelving. Or take it further, build a full glass wall with a custom frame, or even create bridges and tunnels as part of larger structures. Just a quick note, walls can be freely moved using the transform tool, but in-game they can only function as static or animated props. They can't be inventory items, and they can't be children of other props, but you can make them parents to other props. You can use a slot to create a constantly rotating prop. Here's how. Add your slot, set your desired prop as the initial key, set the key to merge when placed, give it a rotation of 99,999 turns on your chosen axis. It will begin spinning at the start of the level and won't stop for a very long time. You can create short videos or GIFs using a sprite sheet by quickly activating a target lock with successive outputs, effectively cycling through each image in your sprite sheet grid. While this is easiest in Lua, it can also be done using empties. First, create a grid of all the video frames you want to use, like a film strip. Add an empty set to a tick-tock animation, and set its duration according to how many frames per second you want to display. Connect this empty to the target lock of your display with an output of 0, so it shows the first image on your display, and, simultaneously, activate the next empty, which will output 1, showing the second image. Chain a series of empties this way to display successive frames on your sprite sheet. Only items and players can be set as the targets for triggers. If you'd like to make an animation prop the triggering object instead, temporarily set it to item and add it as the triggering object. Then switch it back to animation afterward. Don't forget to parent props to the animated items they should move with. For example, make a key the child of a drawer, a slot the child of a door with a keyhole, or a button label the child of its button. This ensures they don't get left behind when the animation plays. To detect when an item has been picked up, for example to play a sound or animation, start the item inside a trigger and connect your sound or animation to the trigger's on-exit event. If you want this to happen only once, remember to set the trigger to sticky. You can also detect when a player enters the zoom view of a zoomable by giving it a lookable child. Just make sure your lookable's target constraints are narrow enough that it only activates when the player is actually zoomed in on the zoomable. To drop an item from a slot into the world, temporarily disable the colliders of both the slot and the item long enough for the item to fall out of the slot's magnetic pull zone. You can do this using activators combined with a short delay logic. If you have a bug where an action only happens every other time, it's usually caused by using a tick animation or button instead of a tick-tock. Ticks only send their on-press or on-done actions on every second press or animation, while tick-tocks send it on every one. Check your setup and replace single ticks with tick-tocks where appropriate to ensure the action triggers consistently. You can combine a rotatable prop with a trigger to turn it into part of a puzzle. For example, rotating this globe to align two countries with these target markers. Place empties at each target country and make them children of the rotatable prop. Set their type to item, so the trigger can recognize them as valid trigger props. Then, place the corresponding triggers as children of the target circles, and have them respond to the empties. Finally, go back and change your empties to animation so players can't pick them up during gameplay. To space items evenly in a row, like rungs on a ladder or buttons on a control panel, use the arrow keys to move them precisely. You can adjust the movement distance by opening the Room Editor cog menu on the left and changing the grid size value. Organize your room by adding materials to logic. For instance, add a red material to activators set to disable and a green one to ones set to enable. For empties that are the main master empty for a setup, give it a distinct color so you always know where to pick it up from. Some logic types have built-in options to limit how often they fire, such as the Is Sticky checkbox on triggers or Disable on Unlock for locks. For other actions that should only happen once, first pass them through an empty animation set to only once, and have the empty trigger the desired action. Items made of glass or pottery can break if thrown. If an important key item breaks, it can make a puzzle unsolvable. To prevent that, give the item an empty parent. Set the breakable's prop behavior to none, and make the parent the item instead. You can always save time when building setups by duplicating connected props. For example, if you duplicate a button, it keeps its connection to the lock and all its properties. Duplicating both the button and the lock together copies the entire linked setup. This is especially useful when creating things like keypads with multiple buttons that all share similar logic. Prevent players from spamming buttons too quickly to keep puzzles stable. You can do this by targeting an activator that disables the button's usability at the same time as the normal button action. When the button is pressed, activate a delay logic to re-enable the button after a short cooldown. You can change the sound items make when placed, moved, or thrown by adding a prop from the main game that has the sound you want and making that prop the item instead. Set your custom item to none and make it the child of the prop. As the child, it will inherit the sounds of its parent. Then disable the renderer of the parent sound prop at the start of the level. Choose accessible colors for your puzzles and clues. Avoid combinations that are hard to distinguish for colorblind players, such as red and green. And consider using patterns, icons, or shapes instead of relying solely on color. For players who are hard of hearing, include visual indicators for important sounds. If a chime or click signifies success, pair it with a light turning on, a symbol appearing, or an animation moving. Include a walkthrough or solution guide for your room to help players who get stuck. Use the integrated walkthrough tool in the settings menu, or consider linking to a walkthrough guide on Steam or a video walkthrough by first uploading it to YouTube, posting it to a Steam discussion, then using a link logic to open it directly from the room. Publish to the workshop often with your room set to private visibility. This acts as a cloud backup you can download or restore from later, just in case of PC troubles. Escape Simulator also automatically creates local backups every time you playtest. Yes, every time you press P or the play button, it creates a backup. These are stored in your backups folder. If something goes wrong, you can restore a backup by removing the .bk auto extension and renaming it to simply room.room, then replacing the original in your main UGC folder. This backups folder can get pretty large with a lot of playtesting, so you can periodically empty it to save on space. If you need to edit an uploaded room but no longer have the original local files, never worry. Download the room as if you were going to play it, then use the copy button in the bottom left corner to duplicate it and make it available to edit in your workshop build menu. Make your edits, and when you're ready to publish, paste the workshop ID into the publishing window. You can find this ID in the URL of your Steam Workshop entry. As long as you are the owner, publishing with this ID will replace the current entry. To test puzzle sequences quickly, set up debug or solve buttons, targeting the green U unlock index of your locks. This lets you skip over puzzles you've already QA'd while keeping them in the room's flow for testing purposes. Delete or disable these debug buttons with an activator before publishing to the workshop. You can also press Alt-P to playtest from your current camera position. Very handy for skipping long intros or testing specific sections of your room. Above all, make sure to try breaking your puzzles deliberately. Pick things up too early, drop them where they shouldn't go, or trigger logic in odd orders. If something can go wrong, players will probably find a way to do it, so best to catch it first. A polished room is also an efficient one. Low FPS can ruin an experience for a player. To reduce lag, use smaller resolutions and compressed textures for background or low-priority props. Tools like tinypng.com make it quick and easy to reduce image file sizes, which helps your room load faster and reduces lag during gameplay. Wherever possible, avoid overlapping lights. A single main light can illuminate the whole room, while small range lights highlight intentional sources like lamps or torches. You can tell a lot about a room from the thumbnail. Instead of relying on the in-game camera selection tool, you can replace the automatically generated preview.jpg in your UGC folder with your own image. Just make sure the game is closed when you make the switch. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.